We are live here on Facebook. It looks like we are on Facebook. Everything's unmuted, and we have another exciting show for you here today. Of course, there's two segments to this show. The first part is our Q&A with our special guest songwriter or Trop-Roc figure in the industry. And, of course, the second part of the show, which appears just after the first one, is Power Through YouTube, and it's actually features me playing along on the drum set to my special guest's music. And so try to watch both, but definitely watch the first part because we have a great and really interesting person on the show today. I'd like to introduce and welcome to the show Mr. TJ Walsh.
Well, thank you very much, Tim.
Yes. Where are you at right now, TJ?
I'm in Surfside Beach, South Carolina.
Surfside Beach, South Carolina. Well, to give our viewers a little bit of a taste, if you don't already know TJ, he's been entertaining crowds in different musical genres, including Trop-Roc, for many decades. He's had home on the radio. He was actually in front of the television camera or the theatrical stage. In the last 30-plus years, he's returned to his first love, playing and writing music. In the 90s, he discovered the phenomenon created by the music of Jimmy Buffett and began playing to Parrot Head groups from Chicago to Key West. Making his home in Myrtle Beach area, he was the first entertainer hired to play the new Margaritaville and spent 5 years playing 156 evenings a week before Tommy Bahama lured him into the comfortable upscale restaurant to perform 5 days a week for another 5 years. And
that was bad. It was a bad thing.
Well, I'm going to ask you about that.
Okay.
During this time with both chains, he found the time to perform for pre-concert Jimmy Buffett shows in Columbia, South Carolina, along with fundraisers, clubs, private functions in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. In the last 15 years, he's found himself performing from Key West, Florida to South Carolina and beyond, promoting his own songs, which we're going to talk about. As everybody knows, the number one song, I want to be like Jimmy Buffett. And it's a song we have been told got a lot of the attention of Jimmy himself, and we'll talk about that in a minute. And so without further ado, I'd like TJ here. And I got a lot of questions for you, TJ, and so I hope you came ready.
I just hope you're prepared for the answers.
First of all, how are you doing during coronavirus? How are you dealing with that? And hopefully everything's well. And
well, about the same as everyone else. I mean, TRMA, the Trop-Roc Music Association, is doing what they can to help, even raise money to help the musicians that aren't able to help themselves nowadays, since a lot of their jobs have been completely cut off, and it's been a difficult time. But I've been one of the fortunate ones and have been able to be just fine along through this, and I can ride out the storm until it's over with. But please, let's get this storm over with.
Well, hopefully it'll get over sooner rather than later. You know, I think we're all sitting around, and I've had a number of songwriters on, and the answers are similar. And I find a lot of them are heading back into the studio and trying to, either they had that planned all along, or they said, screw it, I'm just going to go write new tunes and new music. Now, I know you're probably constantly picking up the guitar, but there's some really exciting things happening that you're doing, and obviously a lot of Parrot Head clubs really emphasize giving back and giving to the community and charitable work, and it's incredible what I've witnessed various Parrot Head clubs do in terms of fundraising. But there's one in particular that I have to mention because you mentioned it to me. Music on the Bay is coming up for you in Tampa, and Music on the Bay has, I think, raised more than $300,000 for the Shriners Children's Hospital, which obviously is a national hospital meant for children. Tell me about how that's coming together. Who are your top performers or even non-top performers, and who's helping you, and what do you need for help?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, I have nothing to do with it other than the fact that I go down there and play every year. I mean, this is all put together by the Tampa Bay Parrot Head Club. and it's an amazing project because they start preparing for this the day after it's over with, at the end of the year, or at the end of usually it's right like the 1st of March is when the thing finishes up. This year it happens to be the 1st of March that it's going to happen, but it usually starts like the 27th of February and works itself into March. It's a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday event. And we have massive amounts of parrot heads that come from all over the country to this thing. As a matter of fact,
how many?
Well, anywhere. It's hard to say. From year to year, it changes. But I've seen, over 2,000 in there. And it's one particular location. It's held at a place called Whiskey Joe's in Tampa. And the very neat thing about Whiskey Joe's is that not only do they have a nice restaurant, they also have a tiki bar that is massive. I mean, it has to seat 40 people, this tiki bar just around the bar, and it sits right on a beach, so you can sit in an Adirondack chair and they will deliver you your cold beverages and your food right out to you can have your feet in the water while you're listening to all this music.
Sounds like
but normally,
kind of place.
Oh, absolutely. And it is, they build an extra stage. There's a large stage there at Whiskey Joe's. And I'm sure that a lot of your listeners are familiar with the Tampa Bay Parrothead Club because they've won the event of the year for many years at Meeting of the Minds in Key West. But it's one of those things where you come along and you set up your chairs, and the Tampa Bay Parrothead Club provides 24-hour security. So you can just leave your chair sitting on the beach and you just go back to it every day when you come out of the hotel. It's a perfect situation. There's vendors there. There's musicians there. The music never really stops because once one stage finishes, the next stage starts. So it's just one thing right after the other. It is like a constant. It's a constant flow of music.
For the Tampa Bay Parrotheads, that's a ton of organization. Oh my goodness.
It is. It's a gigantic, and plus the fact that they're cleaning beaches and everything else. Along the way. So it's a major undertaking, but they seem to do it very well.
Excellent. Well, is that a multiple? What is the dates of that?
If you hang on just one quick second, I can't honestly tell you because I don't have but I know that it starts like March the 3rd, I believe.
Okay.
So whatever date happens to fall on a Wednesday, on March the 3rd of next year, and it'll run Wednesday through Sunday. But it's right at the 1st of March.
All right. And obviously viewers can take a look at the Tampa Bay Parrothead Facebook or website.
And that's real easy. That's finsup.com.
All right. Finsup.com.
Can't beat that.
No, you can't. That sounds I'm going to put it on my calendar.
There you go.
I'm going to be there.
You should.
I definitely should. For sure. So we talked about a lot of people, a lot of songwriters are going back in the studio right now because they're not touring as much or at all. And you've done something a little bit different, which is helping really even more helping the songwriter community. You are about to launch, and this is really exciting, 2 different radio stations under the brand Rocket Broadcasting, Rocket being ROCKIT, I believe, broadcasting. And one of them is a new Trop-Roc station, and the other is Your Americana music. So they're 2 separate stations, and you're going to be doing these broadcasting these stations live from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Tell me about it. Where you got the idea for this?
Well, let me qualify this. I played music in New Orleans in the French Quarter during the Party Gras that occurred in January of this year. And a friend of mine who's been involved in the film business for many years and is involved with NCIS New Orleans and that has built some sound stages just across the river from the French Quarter. And he said, just bring your RV over there and park it inside. You can park it in here for free and we can hook you up. So did you lose me there for a minute?
Yeah, but you're back. You're back.
Okay. And basically what had happened was while we were sitting in there, we actually wrote and recorded 2 songs because they've got a recording studio in the building as well. And we were sitting there talking about the fact that there's a need for a variety of music that the Trop-Roc artists can take their music to. And so he got together with Universal Studios and partners in Oregon and California, and they put these mainframes. We're actually kind of waiting now to get fiber optics run into that studio so that we can be completely free of a lot of issues. But until then, we're still going to go on the air. We have a station called Trop-Roc Radio, ROCKIT, of course, and then Your Americana. Those are the first two stations that are opening. But we're going to have jazz, we're going to have blues, we're going to have a little bit of everything, including some easy listening and even some Oriental music that's involved in there. It's just to have a variety. There's 16 stations in all. But the music that comes into those stations will also be available to Universal Studios producers and directors to be able to use in a film or a commercial or a TV show, whether somebody's listening to the radio in a car driving down the road, or it's just a few snippets of something that's playing in a building as people walk by. That was going to give the artists and the songwriters an opportunity to make some additional money over and above selling their CDs.
Wow, that's really impressive stuff. To stay on this topic for a second, in the introduction of yourself, you have a kind of a deep broadcasting background. Obviously,
yes, I do.
You're obviously drawing from those experiences for this new endeavor. Talk a little bit about some of the wisdom you're dipping into to make this happen.
Tim, wisdom. Well, the wisest thing that I did was stop using the name Tim and changed it to TJ. And it was only because I needed some anonymity. I was getting strange phone calls in the middle of the night in my earlier days. But I spent 30 some odd years on the air broadcasting on the radio, and also did a lot of television in the Dallas and Houston area. And when I got out to the Carolinas, I got involved with the Matlock series, and actually was probably one of the neatest things I ever did do was I was involved, the only person other than the original cast, in the last Andy Griffith reunion show.
That's awesome. Andy Griffith.
It was a great trip. Sitting there watching old Andy Griffith reruns for 3 days with the entire cast is amazing. Or it was.
So you must be excited. I mean, have you been out of radio for a while?
Yes, I have. I haven't. The only thing I've done some drops and things for comedic drops and things for some morning shows along the way, and my basic thing that I got into early on in my life was writing jingles for radio stations, and then it kind of evolved into songs and other things besides that. But yes, to be honest with you, I've been out of the radio since somewhere in the early 90s, and it's nice to get back to do it. However, I don't want to get into it the way I was into it before. I want to be able to do it at my leisure, quite frankly. And so I'm not going to be broadcasting. We're setting this up. I may do a little bit of broadcasting, but it's going to be basically set up so that we can bring in other broadcasters to do these shows.
Okay.
Such as yourself, maybe.
I'd love to help. I think I told you earlier that before I found my calling as a drummer, though I've been a drummer my whole life, I was a newspaper guy, a newspaper reporter, and I did a lot with radio during that time. But this isn't about me, man. This is about you.
Well, we have a lot of things that we walk down the same road a time or two.
There's some commonality here, man.
Yes.
Brother.
Learned how to write news copy, but I didn't learn how to do anything but capitalize it because you were reading it on the air. Everything was in caps.
We were moonlighting.
There you go.
Hey, so now that you're on the cusp. By the way, what's the website for Rocket Broadcasting?
You got it right there. ROCKITbroadcasting.com.
Okay.
And when you go there, there'll be a list that you could go down to, and you can hit Trop-Roc Radio, and then just click the link, and there'll be a little a music player there that'll kick you right into the music, and it's playing 24/7 right now. It's just automated at the moment.
Got it.
And as is Americana music, the step below it will be Your Americana Radio, and the same thing. You can click on that, and you can actually sit and listen to the music that's being played. We will eventually, coming up in the next 2 or 3 weeks, we'll have DJs in there that are working it. But we wanted to be able to have that music playing so we can make certain that everything's going to run properly before we send out free apps to people for them to be able to put on their cell phones and that kind of thing, so they can just touch the app and go right to it.
when did you get the idea for this? How did it come
Well, I'd
about?
love to take credit, but I didn't. I did. It wasn't my idea. It was my friend Tom Conrad's idea. The He was suggesting that he wanted to do this, and like I said, in conjunction with Universal Music and his studios, Rocket Studios, there in New Orleans. And I said, well, I could help if you. And that's all I had to do. Is the next thing I know, I'm recruited. So it became it's like a labor of love, to be honest with you, because we're enjoying ourselves. However, the technical issues of getting through to put all this together is sometimes massive and labor intensive, but it's all coming together now. Finally, thank the Lord, and it should be a very neat project once we get it absolutely up and running.
Wow, I mean that's major. We try to push this show out to our Parrot Head clubs in New England, and they have been, thankfully, and I'm grateful to the Parrot Head clubs for rebroadcasting this. So hopefully this helps spread the word, not only on Music on the Bay, which I'm sure the Parrot Head clubs up here are already familiar with and have been attending.
Yeah, we have a lot of people from the East Coast up there.
Nice, and obviously also Rocket Broadcasting. So this is all good, fresh information
Absolutely.
Coming out here. We're breaking news.
Now, you were in Massachusetts?
I am in this great state, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
Massachusetts. Okay, very good. Well, I've played a few times in Worcester. I'm not sure.
You got it right on the second go.
Okay.
The second one was right. Good job.
Well,
good job.
When we were drinking on the bus at 22 years old, it was Worcester or whatever we could come up with. But it was interesting because we played Mystic Seaport, Connecticut, and all up and down the eastern seacoast. As a matter of fact, my wife wanted to do a trip up there so that she could see some of the beautiful country that you have up there this summer. And obviously that was not a good idea right now.
Yeah, there's so many different. Don't get me going. There's so many different regulations and rules right now. Like
yes, I understand.
The state of Maine hates the state of Massachusetts and vice versa. They're not communicating.
Well, that's the way it started out. I don't know when. Maybe they've gone full circle.
I think they have. Unless you have money. Unless you're going up there to spend money.
Amen.
So, one more question on the radio show because it's so exciting. How has radio changed? Because you've done it old school, and now it's a whole different thing.
Okay, you don't want to really get me on this subject. Back in the day, you've heard this. Have you ever heard the song? I don't know whether you're old enough to have heard the song, but there was that said "Video killed the radio star."
I have. I am old enough.
And when MTV came up with the music videos, the personality radio disappeared. And basically, it used to be such a thing that people would tune into it. Well, I mean, like Wolfman Jack. When Wolfman Jack passed away, I kind of picked up his mantra and worked with Fabian in the Good Time Oldies show, doing the veteran celebrity concerts and that kind of thing for several years. But it was the same way. I mean, Wolfman Jack he was the star of that show. Wolfman Jack played songs that everybody else sang, but people tuned into Wolfman Jack. Nowadays, they're basically jukeboxes. For me to go to work at a standard radio station, I mean, it's just you're somewhat robotic. At 10 after, you can say your name and you play some commercials, and at 20 after, you say the weather and some commercials, and at 20 till, you tell her what time it is in some commercials, and that's the way it is all day long. So it doesn't give you room to do any kind of personality unless you're hooked into a morning show. Now, morning shows are a different situation, but that's getting fewer and far between too. So what we're going to try and do with this is create a little more personality radio with this new genre as well.
Wow, you're breaking all the rules.
Hey, listen, that's me. Breaking it all.
Wolfman Jack. I haven't heard that name. I used to listen to Wolfman Jack all the time. In fact,
I'm sure you did. A lot of people did.
I do drum circles. I facilitate drum circles with mostly senior citizens. I haven't been doing any of that since coronavirus, but that was a lot of my business up until the virus hit. And I remember doing a gig down in Connecticut somewhere, and I'm driving back on these back roads I've never been on in northern Connecticut because I like taking back roads. You learn a lot that way. And Wolfman Jack show came on some strange radio station, and it was the only radio station I could get. And I'm like, oh my God, this is a replay of, a classic Wolfman Jack show.
Oh yeah,
Man, I miss him.
and they're still great. I mean, the replays are just great. I mean, the same thing with television a lot of times too. I mean, you look at some of the old television programs and you find out that they're actually better shows, better acted, and better produced than what we're looking at today.
Yeah, I'm into that. All right, well, check out rocketbroadcasting.com for sure.
Please.
So I'm playing 4 songs today, and let me just pull up what they are. I had it earlier. Wrong screen. Well, the first one I know for sure, I'll pull it up while you talk about it, is you got quite famous about this. In fact,
unintentionally.
There's an Italian author that's writing a book about
Jimmy
Buffett.
Written.
Or it's already written.
It was written, and actually it was premiered under the Eiffel Tower this year before the coronavirus thing came about, because Jimmy does gigantic shows in Paris now, and they're trying to get him to go to Italy. So he wrote this book for the simple fact of trying to lure him into Italy.
And you're in the book.
Well, yeah, I guess I am, and my friend, Roger Bartlett, who also was Jimmy Buffett's very first guitar player when they were just 2 of them, and they were forming the band. Roger wrote the foreword to the book, but I can't read Italian, so I have no idea what he said about me.
Well, obviously, we all know I want to be like Jimmy Buffett. So in part 2 of this program, I get to play along to that. The second, third, and fourth songs I'm going to play are Buffett, Boogie and Booze, Breathless,
yes,
and Coconut Cabaret. Talk a little bit about those 3 songs and.
Well, Breathless is a good bit away from Trop-Roc music. I mean, it is if I can start there. I mean, that basically was a song as a tribute to my wife. It's one of those love songs where you speak your mind and speak your heart, and that's exactly what that was. And I brought in a friend of mine by the name of Tim Peterman to play. He actually was a steel drummer of mine, and you and I. But Tim was played the vibes on the song, and then I brought in Tom Hanlon, who was the music director of Opryland, to play guitar on that song along with me. There's some really great talent on that song. And it was just done as a tribute to my wife, without really intending to get it into the radio or anywhere else. But it kind of made its way there. Unlike Jimmy Buffett, Boogie and Booze, or unlike I Want to Be Like Jimmy Buffett, which was nothing more than a promo song that I put together while I was driving down the road, and I wrote it while I was driving down the road, and somebody was sitting in the passenger seat taking notes, and it was designed just to let people know that I wanted to play for the Parrot Head Clubs, because I thought if I wrote a song with titles of Jimmy Buffett songs woven into the lyrics, it would capture their attention. Well, it did, and it captured a little more than that, because it ended up number 1 on a couple of the radio stations, and it made its way into that book in Italy. Now, like I say, I don't know when they said good or bad things about it, but it's there.
I found Breathless, like I don't do a lot of, I challenge myself on my show to play my guests' songs without really practicing them, and so I'm trying to really use my ears. Like any good drummer, you should be able to sit down and just play a song on first or second read, and that's the difference.
Mm-hmm.
And on Breathless, I don't think I got the whole thing, but it's definitely a real cool kind of calypso reggae styling going on with a lot of rim. And who was your drummer? Do you remember who your drummer was on Breathless?
Yes, it was Tim Peterman.
It was Tim.
Dr. Peterman, let me put it that way.
Dr.
Yes.
Peterman.
He has a PhD in music, specializing in percussion. So literally the man has every feasible percussion instrument you can think of in his house in multiple quantities of each.
He's a great drummer. Did he play on all four of the songs we mentioned?
No, he did not. I mean, I had different drummers on the different songs. Actually, it's funny because I Want to Be Like Jimmy Buffett was done with a drum machine because I didn't think I was going to do anything more than promote it. And then Repeat Records called me one day and they said, we would like to release this song. And I said, okay, where would you like me to go to record it? And they said, well, we're going to release it the way it is. I said, are you absolutely sure of that? And they said, yes. So they took it and they released it the way it was. And they said, you know, they sent me a 5-year contract. And I said, when the first check comes in, I'm going to put it on the wall in my recording studio. Thinking, you know, well, it's going to be $20, $25, something like that. Well, when it came in, it happened to be $1,200. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to the bank. The heck was mounting it on the wall.
That happened
and
to me
then,
once.
funny enough, now this is a good thing for people to hear, especially if you're a songwriter. It was 2 weeks later, I got another check from the record company, and I opened it up, and it was $1,800. And trying to be honest, I called him. I said, "You've made a dreadful mistake. You've already sent me my $1,200, and I'm grateful, but I'm supposed to get this every quarter, and you just sent me a check for $1,800." And they said, "No, there's no mistake. $1,200 was for singing the song. $1,800 was for writing the song." So believe me, every quarter I sat with my arms around the mailbox waiting on the postman to come in.
You got to love royalties, huh?
Yeah.
Not to that same level, but I will say this to our viewers, to you. I got one of those checks once from a famous person, Mr. Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys,
excellent.
founder.
Whoa.
I ended up teaching his daughter, his adopted daughter, how to play drums for a year.
Wow.
And so
that's incredible.
I didn't know. Well, she never told me who her dad was. And so I'm giving her, just a high school kid, I'm just giving her lessons and stuff. And like halfway through the year, she's like, you know, I don't want to really say this. Do you know who my dad is? And I'm like, Delaney Wilson. I'm like, I still didn't put two and two. And she said it was Brian Wilson. And I'm like, Delaney, if you had told me that at the beginning of the year, I could have been teaching you all the Beach Boys songs so you could go jam with your dad this summer. And she did. And anyway, just a backstory there. But you mentioned a lot of different styles, and you've played a lot of different styles, not just Trop-Roc. What's your favorite style?
You know, I can't say that there's a favorite. My favorite to listen to is probably blues and jazz. However, as far as me playing music, I like to play whatever I can play well. Let's put it that way. You know, I may want to play something, but if it doesn't sound well, I'm not going to play it at all. But the point of it is, I don't pigeonhole myself into one particular style. Now, over the last 25 years, I've been playing Trop-Roc and listening to Trop-Roc to the point where that most everything that I set down to write came out that way automatically, whether I wanted it to or not. And so it was just that's obviously what's making us money at these days. I mean, there's a lot of us out there that are making a very good living playing music for the people that like the Trop-Roc music, whether they're the Parrot Head Club or whether they're Swim or whether they're whoever they are. They could just be people that just like the music, and that music is really coming into its own. The thing that we're trying to do is get the genre recognized, just the same as rock and roll and country and bluegrass. This is a genre that needs to be recognized, and it's getting close. It's getting very, very close. I hope I live to see it.
I read a story yesterday, Forbes magazine, I think, that Tiki bars are making a huge comeback in the United States.
Yeah, I do this show from my Tiki bar if I had the bar built yet. I'm still waiting on the contractor. We got the hot tub in, but no place for the bar yet.
All right, fair enough. Well, 30 minutes goes fast. You've been an excellent guest. I always ask this question of all my guests, and thank you for being on again. And this will be
more than welcome.
Broadcast again. Anyone that didn't catch the live, this will be rebroadcast several times this week. And the second part of this show is coming up via YouTube. It'll be right above this one on Facebook. My last question, Tim, is
sure.
what advice do you have for aspiring young songwriters? You know, the
Don't
kids
do
coming
it.
right out.
No, it's fine. That's not true. We've got to have the new songwriters in there. The thing about it is, every breath that we take, every step that we take down the street, everything somebody says to us is potentially a song. And when you're doing this, you're creating the soundtrack of people's lives. And the idea of it is they're actually contributing to this, whether they realize it or not. I believe wholeheartedly everyone I meet on the street contributes to some sort of a song or something that I'm writing, because whether it's the attitude or whether it's a single sentence or whatever it is, there is something there that stimulates the artists and everybody. So the bottom line is, if you have it inside of you, you've got to write it down. You may not be a singer, you may not be a musician, but you've got to write it down. So be a poet, be a story writer, be whatever you can do, but write that down so that it's saved for people that really are. You never know who you're going to touch, whose life you're going to touch. Little did I ever know that Jimmy Buffett would know about that song.
Wow. Well, the Island Castaways band, I'm the drummer for. It's a New England Trop-Roc band.
And it's a great band.
Thank you. Led by, of course, Joe Howa and Paul Kane. I actually got rehearsal tonight with them. We actually have a gig this weekend at a Tiki bar, socially distanced, masks, and everything like that. And the weather's looking good for that. We will send you one of our tunes. We got a brand new song called Brand New Road that's got about 15,000 views now on Radio A1A and elsewhere. And I'll send you it, if Joe agrees, for your new station, and you can take it from there. But it's been a pleasure to have you on, Tim. Mr. TJ Walsh is here. And don't forget about Music on the Bay. Check out his new radio station that's already online. And
don't forget about Party Gras either in January.
Yeah.
In New Orleans.
Yeah, let's not forget about I haven't been to New Orleans yet. I got to go.
Oh, yeah.
And stay tuned, because the second part of this program will be right above this Zoom powered through YouTube with me playing along the TJ songs. Hopefully I do a good job. Again, I didn't rehearse them. I didn't overdub them. It's pre-recorded live.
I'm sure you will. And thanks to everybody for tuning in.
Peace. Be well.
Thank you, Tim. Bye.